Jean Thompson stood in front of her fifth grade class on the very first day of school in the fall and told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at all of her pupils and said she loved them the same and would treat them all alike. But that was impossible because there in front of her, slumped in his seat on the third row, was a little boy named Teddy Stoddard. Miss Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with other children, that his clothes were unkempt, and he was in constant need of a bath. And Teddy wasn't pleasant. It got to the point during the first few months that she would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen, making X's, and then marking an F at the top of the paper. Because Teddy was a sullen little boy, no one else seemed to enjoy him either. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's records, and she had put Teddy's off to the last. When she opened his file, she was in for a surprise. His first grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright, inquisitive child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He is a joy to be around." The second grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle." His third grade teacher wrote, "Teddy comes to work hard, but his mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if steps aren't taken." Teddy's fourth grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is withdrawn, and he doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends and sleeps in class and is tardy and could become a problem." Now Mrs. Thompson realized the problem. But Christmas was coming up fast. It was all she could do with the school play and all until the day before the holidays began, and she was suddenly forced to focus on Teddy Stoddard. Her children brought her Christmas presents, all in beautiful ribbon and bright paper, except for Teddy's, which was clumsily wrapped in heavy brown paper of a scissored-up grocery bag. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle that was quarter full of cologne. She stifled the children's laughter when she explained how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume behind her wrist. Teddy Stoddard stayed behind just long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." After the children had left, she cried for at least an hour. On that very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Jean Thompson paid particular attention to the one called Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. On days when there would be an important test, Mrs. Thompson would remember the cologne. By the end of the year, he had become one of the smartest children in the class and also became the pet of the teacher. Mrs. Thompson had promised to love all her children exactly the same, but she had lied. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy telling her that all the teachers he had in elementary school, she was his favorite. 6 years went by, and another note from Teddy. He wrote then that he had just finished high school, third in his class, and she was still his favorite teacher. 4 years after that, she got another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he stayed in school, had stuck with it, and graduated college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still his favorite teacher. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that he was still She was still his favorite teacher, but now his name was a little bit longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. The story doesn't end there. You see, there was yet another letter that spring. Teddy had met a girl and was to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple years before, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might sit in the pew usually reserved for the mother of the groom. And on that special day, Jean Thompson wore a bracelet, the one with the rhinestones missing. And on that special day, Jean Thompson smelled just the way Teddy remembered his mother smelling on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back. She said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I know now how to teach you and other type of children." In today's gospel, Jesus says, "If anyone loves me, he will keep my word." Mrs. Thompson, by choosing to love Teddy despite his flaws, lived out the kind of life of selfless, obedient love Jesus speaks of. Her actions transformed to reflect the life that she had inspired in Teddy and transformed his life. The Teddy Stoddard story mirrors John's gospel in its depiction of love that gives beyond words. That love abides, it transforms, it teaches. We become vessels of God's love in the present and peace that we bring to other people's lives. Jesus has called us as his followers to do the same. You can never tell what type of impact you make on another person's life by your actions or lack of actions. Consider this fact as you venture through the rest of your life.